Hello, my name is Ivan, and today I want to talk something. Yes, again something different. Yes, this is kind of a weird channel where I can do whatever I want and talk whatever I want, even if almost nobody is really watching these videos. But maybe why, in case if somebody still find the topics I cover somewhat interesting or relatable, we can have this discussion, even if there is only 5 people who think like me. It is still something. um, um, so I want to talk about some kind of my feelings and everything. And one of the things is I personally always was kinda in this somewhere in between scientific and mystical thinking. Because, okay, science it is all amazing, and of course, I will choose something what you can really use to prove that something exists or doesn't exist. But science also, it's not like it is always 100% correct and perfect, and it can change over time. Things can change, and how we look at things and also can change. And today I don't know if I can put everything in one video, so maybe I will continue to talk about this kind of stuff. Today I want to talk about simulation and why I think that I cannot say that I 100% believe in anything. I always thinking about things. Could it be true or no? Because yes, I cannot prove that we live in the simulation, but I cannot prove that we don't live in the simulation. It's impossible. So that's why this is more like just something based on my feelings, on my experience, and some kind of logic, some kind of logic. But okay, of course, now when we have AI, it is much easier for me because I have in my head what I have, a chaos of thoughts, and sometimes I need help. Well, luckily, I can now ask AI to put everything what I think in some kind of more organized way. That's why I will look here from time to time, but that doesn't mean that everything what I say is AI made text. No, this is what I think and how I think. So basically, if I talk about my own experience, for I don't know what age I was, but I had this thought that okay, and I think a lot of people probably think about these things. For example, when we go to sleep, we see dreams and we wake up from these dreams. And what if we can wake up from this where we are in? So I had this thought that what if the reality, which we think as the reality, is actually a dream and we are sleeping somewhere? Of course, at the age of, I don't know, let's say 7, 8 years, probably I didn't even knew the words like reality or simulation. No, I definitely didn't. And but okay, if we talk about the simulations, what kind of simulations it can be? There can be obviously various type of simulations, and what we think what simulation actually is. For example, how it can be is that everything around me is simulation and everything around me is not real, and I am the only one who exists. And but I know it kind of feels like yes, it is possible, but I don't. But also, what creates this simulation? There's another thing. It's if somebody outside me creates it or I create it. And of course, another way how that it can be, how much I feel more like that I am not the only existing consciousness. I can be wrong. Maybe you are, all of you are not real actually. But I feel like more that there are also other people like me. But again, are all of the people around us real? Or some of them are not really real? That's another thing. Or we all as humanity, for example, or maybe not even animals. If we are in the simulation, then in this case, that simulation most likely is from somewhere outside, because if the simulation is generated by our brain, then most likely everything around us is fake. Yeah. Why we could be in the simulation? What is the point of it? Why would we be in a simulation? And I have these kind of ideas. It could be just a game. For who? It could be a game for somebody else, like we play The Sims, somebody plays with us, or we could be players actually. It's not necessary always everything so negative, like, and why we don't know or don't remember anything about the outside world, because how we want our games to be or to look. The reason why we have actually VR and everything like that. Uh, the games which we have now, like if we compare the games 30 years ago, what we like, maybe there are some exceptions, but we are looking for realism and full immersion in games. This is something natural. The more realistic game feels, more kind of interesting it is. I don't know. And there is a possibility that this kind of game is already developed, where we can be fully immersed in this reality and we are just playing the game, and the reason why we don't really remember or don't feel like or don't think anything outside this simulation is because it was our choice, because we wanted to be as realistic as possible. And why I say like we almost or not really remember anything or think about, well actually we do, a lot of people do think about it, so it's not like 100%. If it is, we have these thoughts that we might be in the simulation, which means it doesn't really, it's not 100% fully immersive, I guess. So it is close, but the fact that we think about it makes it. There is another thing. What if it doesn't necessarily mean that we are forced to be here? Or even if we kinda are, or even if we are generated and we are not real, that doesn't necessarily mean that we are in some kind of trouble, because if for those who are creating this simulation for us, it is important that we don't know that we are in simulation. But we do have these thoughts and doubts, and a lot of people, apparently a lot of scientists even researching it. And the fact that we are not delated yet means that that's fine. It's not like it is absolutely like a big secret, but somehow we just don't know it, and who knows what are the reasons. So this one thing, it could be like a game, and the player could be either us or somebody else. Also, do they know if what we think or what we talk about? If, for example, if I play The Sims, I do not understand what they are talking, and maybe they are already fully conscious and we have no idea, because those who are looking at us from outside of the simulation, we have this communication problem. I don't know, but again, this simulation is much more advanced than the Sims game. And we do have this concept of languages, like real languages. I don't know, but okay. Another thing, why? It could be like some kind of, yes, medical mental state. For example, we could be just in some kind of coma, or some of us. Or what if there is this thing that a lot of people are doing, they are freezing their bodies in hopes that after some kind of years they can be healed from whatever some kind of illness or something. Yes, what if we have this technology, but we are in this some kind of coma until the time when we can wake up from it? But do we really need? We can just be like asleep without any dreams. I don't know. Okay. Also, of course, it could be like an experiment, like a scientific experiment. Yeah. I don't know personally what kind of experiment this could be. It could be any kind of experiments. AI suggesting me like ancestor simulation created by future humans studying history. I don't know. Maybe, but I don't think you can study history this way, because it's a made-up history, testing different evolutionary or societal pathways. Maybe. Honestly, I don't know. I am little bit. I have some doubts about. I am not sure if it could be experiment. I think there are other reasons. Yes, and there is another question. Okay, if we are experiment or not, or whatever. Do we have our outside selves, or we exist only as a simulation? So, if we play a game, and there are somewhere outside there are us, and our consciousness is kind of in this game, or we experience this simulation in our brain or whatever we have outside, because also the outside world can be absolutely different than it is here. If we want to play the game to have different kind of experiences, yes, sometimes we want a game be close to reality, like The Sims, for example. But sometimes we might want something what could let us experience something what we cannot experience in real life at all. So the outside world can be absolutely different, like unimaginably different than we have it here. And this world is not necessarily a replication of that outside world. Yes, and if we exist only in simulation, if we are created only in simulations, then why would we? Then we don't have a way out, basically. So it doesn't matter if we are in simulation or no, because again, if we are created in the simulation and this is our reality, then at this point it is not a simulation anymore, it is our reality. And there are some other realities, but this is our reality. But there is a way maybe to going outside of the simulation, even for something what is created in simulation. For example, how I think, or let's say AI. It is some kind of, well, it is created by us, humans. But if I think about, again, Sims, if the game after some kind of years. Yes, it's changed from the first Sims. It became more realistic, and let's say after 50 years it becomes very realistic. Almost you can play it maybe even in VR. Then that could make, oh wow, then you could be a player in that game, but some of the players could be real people who are playing with you, while some other characters could be just characters in this game which who do not have outside bodies. But actually, even if for example, if these characters in the game who are not real, but they became self-conscious, technically, if we could, as humans, maybe I will not exist at that time, most likely, but like after hundreds of years, maybe the technologies will be when technologies will be much more advanced, if it will happen, it could be possible to put this consciousness in like some kind of physical form. For example, you can put AI out from computer in some kind of like robot who could walk and do stuff in our reality. So by this logic, I guess if we are just in the game, generated in the game characters, but we have our self-consciousness, technically it could be possible also if these, I don't know, people, okay, let's say people who created this simulation, if they wanted to, they could put us in that physical world, actually. So technically it could be possible also, even if we are created here. Another thing could be what is not necessarily a game, but it's kind of like a game. So there is this kind of like experience machine thought experiment, yes, where it was like where is it? If you had a choice of being put in this plug into a machine that gives you any pleasurable experience you desire while your body floats in a tank, would you choose this simulation over real life? And yes, normally, if somebody told me that you can live whatever, you can have the most amazing life. Luckily, while my life, I cannot say it is amazing. There are different things happening which are not so amazing, but I would not, at this point in my life, choose to be plugged in this kind of machine. But I think there can be situations when some people could choose this. If the real life is really very bad, let's say it like that. So it could be used as like voluntary escape from suffering. And yes, like simulation could be alternative to physical or emotional pain. So if a person has very serious like emotional or physical pain, then and nothing to lose, then that could be also one of the reasons why would somebody choose to live like in this kind of simulated reality. Yes, another could be the reason, which is also kind of interesting. So, evolutionary adaptations. So, our civilization might have created simulation to overcome cosmic limitation. So, a solution to the great filter that prevents expansion in the physical universe, creating new realities is different physical laws to continue evolving. So, what that means could be that is that reality, which is a real reality, our civilization, let's say it like that, or their civilization, whatever. Okay, in this case, it could be our civilization or whatever we are. we reach some kind of the limits. In order to overcome these limitations, we create a different reality which is simulated, where there is no these limitations. So we have different laws of physics. Crazy idea. What if? No, okay, I don't know. Maybe that's. But okay, let's for example, what if the real world is 2D, but we created a 3D world where we can overcome the limitations of that 2D world, or whatever it could be. It could be anything. It could be something what nobody can even think about it, or at least I cannot. I am not a scientist. I am a philosopher. That's what I am doing, actually. Yes, basically. So everything what I am talking here is more from like a philosophical point of view, and has, well, not like, I cannot say it has nothing to do with science at all, but still, what kind of for me feels like why we are in the simulation. First of all, my own experience with some kind of weird things. I have some stories about that. I think I will have all the links to these stories. That's not everything, but also it's not like I have a lot of them, but do we really need a lot? If we have at least 10 weird things happening in our life, that's already quite a lot. We are kind of like a programmed thing with our DNA. It is a code. And we have our limitations in our physical bodies. And we are being controlled by a lot of these biochemical processes in our brains, whatever, all these hormones and stuff. And we are not perfect, despite that there are these kind of religious people think that, wow, everything what is created around us, that's like some kind of amazing work. But it is not perfect, it's very much not perfect. I can say there is a lot imperfections in nature, in people, which kind of also could mean that thing what created everything is to have also their own limitations. Or maybe everything was made in such imperfect way for a reason again. I don't know. But also, if we think about it, we are in the simulation anyway, even if we are not in the simulation, because everything what we see around us, or everything what we feel, like colors, they are not real. Yes, taste is not really real. I mean, everything what we see or feel or hear is the way how our brain interprets it. So we technically live in the simulation, which is created by our brain. So yes, while I cannot say that I really 100% believe in anything, actually, I don't believe really in anything, but I do have some kind of thoughts about a lot of things, and some kind of ideas that it could be true. It could be, but who knows? And yes, there are various ways how we can be in simulation, and if we think about it, we actually are. But also, it can be different types of simulations and different reasons why the simulation exists. And it can be that we are voluntarily in the simulation, or maybe not. Various reasons. So, but okay, these my thoughts about at this point. Like I collected like this kind of points how I think it is, but maybe there's something else what I missed or what I didn't thought about. But this is basically how what I think about it and how I feel about it. and it would be interesting to see if how many people actually do also think about it on a daily basis. I can say it's not like I do think about it all the time, but especially in recent years, the older I get, actually, the more I think about it, and the more clues I kinda have, which kinda points me. There are also some things where I think that no, why would we have this or that in the simulation? Well, that's weird. If I wanted to create simulation, I would not include some things, but again, it depends. Maybe it actually makes perfect sense. Okay. And another thing is how I also think, but maybe that's in another video, is how everything actually, religions and everything, for me personally, fits very well in this simulation. I don't know what it is, like, idea. For example, reincarnation. Yes, you can put it in the simulation. You can end one game and start another. It is all possible. So everything is possible in the simulation. Actually, yes, everything is possible in the simulation. Yeah, thanks for watching and goodbye.